All right, let's just jump right in. I'm going to say something that it might just shake up some theology you've been comfortable with for a long, long time. We're going to take a fresh look at the very first story and talk about the silence that cost us everything. Let's just start with this bombshell, right? Forever it feels like. The whole story has been about Eve talking to the serpent. We point to that conversation, her being deceived, as the one thing that knocked everything over. But what if that's not really the main event? What if we've been focused on the wrong thing all this time?
Because the real catastrophic failure, the moment everything went sideways for humanity, it wasn't a conversation. It was the complete lack of one. It was the silence of the man who was standing right there and said nothing. That's what did it.
So, okay, let's actually look at the proof, you and me. Let's revisit that moment, not just with our old Sunday school glasses on, but through what the scriptures actually say. You know, the Bible is super clear about this. It says Eve gave the fruit to her husband, who was, and here's the key, with her. He wasn't on the other side of the garden, doing his thing. He was right there. He heard the whole twisted conversation. He saw the deception happen, and he was the one with the God-given authority, and he did absolutely nothing, said not a word.
And this, right here, this is where things get really interesting. We have to completely rethink who was responsible. Because the way heaven sees the fall, it's totally different from how we usually tell the story.
So you've got these two views, right? The common one is, Eve got tricked and Adam kind of just went along for the ride. But heaven's view, the one that's actually in the Bible, it says Adam is the one who brought sin into the world. And honestly, the evidence for that is it's overwhelming when you see it. Okay, so check this out. Look at the order of operations, God's order. First, you flip over to Romans 5, and it says point blank that sin entered the world through one man, Adam. It doesn't say the woman. Second, after it all went down, who does God call out for? Adam, where are you? He goes to the man first. And third, when it's time to hand out judgments, who's first in line? Adam. Not the serpent, not Eve. So why? Why that order?
It's because of this powerful, unchanging principle. Having authority isn't just about being in charge. It comes with responsibility. And it doesn't matter if you use that authority or not, you're still on the hook for it. Silence is a choice, and it's a choice that has massive consequences.
So if silence was the epic fail, what was the right move? This is where we get to talk about the power of stepping in, the power of intervention, and what real authority is supposed to look like. And this is huge. We got to redefine what tolerance means in this story. Adam wasn't just being neutral or, letting her make her own choices. His silence was a green light for deception. When you're facing a flat-out lie, being tolerant of it isn't neutral. It's permission. You're basically validating the lie by not stopping it. And the crazy part is, he didn't have to get all dramatic. He didn't need to shout or fight the serpent. Real authority is often just decisive. He just had to say one thing, one sentence.
That's it. That's all it would have taken. No, we will ask God. Can you just imagine? One simple, godly interruption. One decision to go back to God's authority instead of just standing there, that would have stopped the fall of man dead in its tracks. Wow.
Now, this is the part of the story that just blows my mind because most people skip right over it. Think about the sequence of events. When Eve eats the fruit, nothing happens. Seriously, the fall doesn't get activated. The Bible doesn't say her eyes were open or that she was afraid. Nothing. Why? Because the person in authority, the head, hadn't signed off on it yet. It's only when Adam eats the fruit that, boom, both of their eyes are opened. That's when it all came crashing down.
You see, his inaction was basically a transfer of authority. He handed it over. By choosing to listen to the serpent instead of sticking to God's command, he surrendered the authority God had given him. But wait, it gets even deeper than that. Because eating the fruit, that was just the symptom. The real disease, the true original sin, if you will, showed up in what Adam did after he took that bite.
His biggest, deepest failure wasn't even the act of disobedience. It was the attitude of his heart that came out in his very first words to God. It was all in his excuse.
Just listen to this. The woman that you gave me. You can just hear the blame in his voice. In one sentence, he throws everyone under the bus but himself.
I mean, let's just dissect that for a second. He blames Eve, the woman. Then he blames God, the woman you gave me. And by doing that, he's basically saying God's design was flawed and that he rejects his whole job of leading and protecting. That's the sound of blame, my friends, not the sound of a heart that's ready to repent.
So what in the world does this ancient story have to do with us today? This isn't just some old tale. This is a challenge for you and for me to stop playing the blame game and start taking responsibility.
Seriously, just think about it for a second. Where in your life have you been silent? Where have you let a destructive or deceptive conversation just happen? Where have you stood on the sidelines when your voice, your authority, was needed to bring some truth and order back into the situation? The antidote to what Adam did is taking on this kind of posture. It's a choice. It's saying, you know what? I take responsibility for what I did and for what I failed to do. I'm done blaming other people. I'm done blaming God. I'm choosing obedience. That is the kind of heart that heaven gets behind.
And so that's the question I want to leave you with. It's the same one that's been echoing down from Eden this whole time. In your own life, your family, your job, your friendships, even in your own head, where have you been silent? And now that you know the cost, what are you going to do about it?